An interval is just the distance between two notes, or how far apart they are in pitch. If the notes are closer together, it's a smaller interval. If they're farther apart, it's a bigger interval. It's just the distance between them. When we talk about intervals, we give each of them a name based on their size. And we can measure this size by simply counting the letter names from the bottom note to the top note. Let me show you what I mean. If we take just a basic C scale and we pick any two notes from this scale, let's say C and G, and we want to know the interval between these two notes, all we have to do is count the letter names from C to G. C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is an interval that we call a fifth. Let's do another one. From F to A. F, G, A, 1, 2, 3. We call this interval a third. So right now, grab your instrument and let's play some of these together so you can get a feel for how this works. Let's go back to the key of C. What we're going to do is we're going to pick any note in the key of C and we're going to count the letter names from C up to that note. Let's start with the note F. From C to F. C, D, E, F. 1, 2, 3, 4. From C to F is a fourth. Play one note, play the other, and if you can, play both. From C to F is a fourth. Let's do another one. Let's do the note A. From C to A. C, D, E, F, G, A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C to A is a sixth. Play one note, play the other note, and if you can, play both. From C to A is a sixth. So let's move to a new key. Let's try the key of E. We'll see some new notes this time because this key uses some sharps, but everything else works exactly the same. We're still just going to count up through the letter names or through the names of the notes in our scale. So let's go from an E to a B. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From E to B is a fifth. Play one note, play the other note, and if you can, play both. From E to B is a fifth. So let's do some more, but this time we're going to mix it up. Instead of choosing a note and trying to find what interval it is, this time we're going to choose an interval and try to find what note it's supposed to be. So let's find a seventh from an E note. We're going to start on E and just count up to the seventh note in an E scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp. From E to D sharp is a seventh. There are two ways that we can play or talk about these intervals. You'll hear people use the words melodic intervals or harmonic intervals. They're the same thing, they're only referring to how we play them. With melodic intervals, we play one note and then we play the other note. We hear one sound and then we hear the other sound. We hear these all the time in vocal melodies, bass lines, guitar riffs, basically anytime we have a long string of individual notes happening one at a time. Harmonic intervals are when we hear the two notes at the same time like a chord. We only hear one sound, and that sound is two notes happening at the same time. We talk about these all the time in chords, but we also hear them when we have two people playing together at the same time, or when we have two people singing in harmony. Basically, anytime two notes are happening at the same time, even if they're happening on different instruments. Now let's revisit that short phrase I played at the beginning of this video and see how these intervals work. We start out with some melodic intervals that are going to progress through the strings, and in this case we're alternating fifths and fourths. D to A is a fifth, A to D is a fourth, D to A is a fifth, A to D is a fourth, and the last one, D to A, is another fifth. And now we move into some harmonic intervals where we play both notes at the same time. D and A is a fifth, B and G is a sixth, A and F sharp is another sixth, A sharp and E is a fifth, and B and D is a third. And then we have one last melodic interval from this B down an octave or 8 notes to this B. Okay, so now let's talk about a 4-step way you can practice this so you can get more comfortable using these in your playing. To start, pick a key that you're pretty familiar with, and this will be your key for that day. In this case, we'll use F. Now, choose a random interval and find what note is that interval away from the root. Let's use a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From F to C is a fifth, and this is the same method we were talking about earlier in the video. Now we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to choose a random note in the scale and find what interval that note is from the root. So let's use the note D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From F to D is a sixth. Now I'm going to throw you a curveball. We're going to keep finding random notes and random intervals in this key, but this time without an instrument. Don't skip this step. This is pretty important. Even though you'll probably always have your instrument on you when you're playing, memorizing these without your instrument helps you find these faster so you can use them on the fly when you're improvising or learning a new song. Keep practicing these, finding random notes and random intervals until you feel pretty comfortable finding everything in this key. The next day, rinse and repeat, but move to a new key. If you practice this every day, in about just 2 weeks you will have covered every key there is. Each interval has a certain exact distance, and each one of these distances has a more specific name, but for now we're not concerned with the interval quality like major third or minor third. In real life music, we're going to be working within a particular scale most of the time anyway, so we'll just think about things as a third or a fifth, and the scale will tell us which exact note to use, whether it's a C or a C sharp. It's more important to have the ability to identify a fourth or a third than it is to determine between a major third and a minor third, since again, we're just going to use whichever one fits that chord or scale better anyway. For more information on these interval qualities, check out the website for some articles on intervals. These qualities are important and you should definitely learn more about them, but for now, it's totally fine to start working with these in this more general way. Until next time, keep practicing these in this basic way until you feel comfortable finding these and using them in your playing. And when you're ready, we'll see you in the next one.